Back to TLT Talks. Beautiful day out. We've got a great show for you today. So this market's on fire. Whether it's New York City, the country, the world, everyone is talking to us about wanting to invest in real estate. You know, whether it's for primary residence or just for investment or just for development, etc. Everyone's trying to get in. So we've got a very exciting show for you today. My best friend happens to be a really young and innovative, intelligent developer. And so I thought I'd have him come on to talk to us about the do's and don'ts of investing, do's and don'ts of development. And so he should be on any second now. He's just requested. We've just accepted. And there he is, Mr. Gene Khody. How goes it, sir?
Hey, good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
Exciting.
So Gene Khody is the president and CEO of Balanced Living Development, the owner of a boutique development firm. At this point, you've got over a dozen projects under your belt. Really, really cool. Obviously, a pleasure to work with my best friend, so that's pretty cool. Flex says, I'm here, no worries. What's up, Flex? How's it going? Steps to success. We got some cool people in the house. So, Gene, why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us about yourself, and what your company's about, etc.
So we do real estate development in New York City. We've been around for about 10 years. We've done some exciting projects. I'm happy to say we haven't lost any money. That's a big plus.
And a big rarity.
Lots of hard work.
Rarity.
What?
And very rare. I don't know many developers that have never lost money.
Lots of dedication to the craft and just trying to navigate this whole real estate thing in New York. So
right. Yeah, and I could say this with absolute being absolutely candid that you never cut corners, man. The projects you put up always sell and rent very quickly. You really take the time. You really care about the end user, and so it makes our job really easy. I wish more of my developers were like that. So let's jump right in, right? For somebody that's looking to get started investing in New York City, whether it's it's somebody institutional, family office, or just Joe Schmo that wants to start investing in real estate, what is your recommendation on how to get started?
well, I mean, you just named a lot of different parties here. So if it's somebody who's looking to get in or somebody who has a family office, it's all about how much money you have, right? So if you have, I don't know, 50 to 100,000, you might want to buy something small. If it's somebody who has a lot more money, it's a different ball game. So if they're looking to get started, I mean, like I said, it's how much money you have and what's the outcome.
Right.
The head of your company, do you know what you're doing, sort of, right? So at the end of the day, again, somebody could buy a co-op, find the tenant, rent it, and hopefully it goes well. Or they can find a 6-family or a 20-family or a 50-family and do the same thing. So I think family offices probably have people inside the office that will do the due diligence and so on. But I'm not sure if a regular person who has some cash on the side or who's looking to invest is going to have those options.
Right.
So, again, how much money you have, what's the outcome that you're looking for. But, I'd probably say very important to start slow, do your diligence, and then.
Right. So to synthesize, essentially, the first step is to figure out how much money you want to invest, right? Or not necessarily just how much you have. Maybe you have millions of dollars, but what's the actual cash appropriation for this project? And then from there also, is it a long-term hold? Is it a flip? What are you really looking to do? Based on those two factors, you either talk to a developer, a broker, whatever, and you start to think about, is it a single family home? Is it here in New York City, or is it, somewhere in the country? Right. And then essentially, if it is multifamily, obviously lots to consider there too. Cool. So pretty simple, right? How much money do you have and what are you actually trying to accomplish? That's pretty simple. How about you?
Pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple, right? And anyone could do it. Anyone could do it. Yeah, anyone could do it. I wish, honestly, there's a way now to pull up images. I don't want to start messing around with it, but it's like with real estate, there's that meme. I know it happens with brokerage all the time. What your parents think you do, what your friends think you do, what you actually do. And it's listen, I can tell you, because I deal with a lot of the end users, that to the common person, the real estate developer is like the monopoly guy. You're just sitting there playing with your twisters, with your whiskers, collecting your cash, and no one understands the back end and the real. And I'm like, my God, nobody understands like the other side of the coin. So to that point, you've been doing this a long time now. How long have you been doing it? And how did you initially get started? What was your first project, or how did you initially get started with this
So,
thing?
been it for about 10 years, but got started. I mean, if you really want to talk about it, right before I got married, I bought my first, I bought a co-op for
Hmm.
after we get married to live in, and I had to renovate it. I always had a big passion for real estate. It was something about creating something that wasn't there in the past and leaving it.
Hmm.
You know, if you're going to create it, you're going to build it, it's going to be there hopefully for the next 50 to 100, 200 years, right?
Hmm.
So that was a very interesting thing for me to, to consider, right? So you're going to leave a legacy, you're going to leave something that's going to be there for a while. But, but take a step back before getting to that point, you have to learn how to do something simple. So I got a junior 4 and I decided to renovate it.
Hmm.
And I did it right before right after the crash, 2008, right? So I bought it in 2009 when, the uh, uh, real estate has dropped and the prices have significantly lowered. So I decided to buy a co-op. I bought the co-op, then I said, okay, great, I want to do this, I want to knock this down, that down. And then, the co-op board said, well, take it easy, my friend. Permits, did you hire an architect, or a contractor, like, and all of these things, whether it's on a small level or a big level, they matter, right?
Hmm.
I renovated my apartment, and I'm actually happy to say that I still own the apartment, and it has significantly increased in value
Hmm.
since 2009.
I bet.
But that was my initial step, and then when I really started getting into real estate was, I put away some money, I put away some more money, and I said, all right, listen, I think it's time for me to get into real estate. I knew a family that was in real estate. And I literally said, let me shadow you, like early morning, after work, whatever it takes. I wanted to learn. So I learned some of the things that they were looking at, the way that they were thinking, and they were fairly successful, multi-million dollar family that made their money. It was they're an American success story. Uh,
Beautiful.
the father who started everything, came here after World War II with nothing in his pocket, and today he's worth tens of millions of dollars.
Beautiful.
So I shadowed them, and then took a small project with some investors that partnered up with me in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Before Bedford-Stuyvesant was what it is today.
Marcy, I remember Marcy.
Yeah, yeah. So Marcy was the first project, and we bought a brownstone. We fully got renovated it. Hired architects, hired contractors, and understood what zoning meant, understood what air rights meant, understood what it says in the deed, right? You're buying a house, and to you, somebody could have from a 3-family to a 1, but you could be buying a house that says it's a 3-family and it's a deeded 3-family. So,
Right.
particular situation, it was a single-family home, as we saw, but when we looked at the deed, it was a 2-family, so we were able to separate it, convert it back into a 2-fam, and it ended up being a big positive for us because we didn't have to go through a long process of getting approvals and so on because it was already
Hmm.
officially a 2-family. We just brought it back to the way it was supposed to be, and we were fairly successful there.
Very cool. And from then to the moon, as Elon would say, to the moon. So, that's a really good segue. That's a really good segue. I know that when I'm interviewing agents, we don't really hire brand new agents anymore. Just the learning curve is too big. But when I was interviewing your agents, every time I'd interview them and they'd say, oh, yeah, I really want to get into real estate. Or even now when I'm just having a chat with a friend or an acquaintance or whatever, I want to get into real estate. I find that the expectation of what they think it is and what it actually is very different. Usually I get like, oh, yeah, I want to go into real estate because I can make lots of money and I can set my own schedule and yada, yada. And it's always hard for me not to laugh, right? And so I wonder, can you talk to us a little bit about, for someone that's going into the world of investing, whether it's development or just real estate investing, what are some of the misconceptions? What are some of the myths? What are some of the misconceptions?
Well, like you said, people think that we're the monopoly people just sitting
Hmm.
with this and collecting properties. misconceptions is it's very difficult. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be ready to lose everything that you invested. That could happen too.
Mhm.
Um, nothing is easy. If it was, everybody would do it,
Right.
right? And I'm not saying that I'm special or I'm perfect or whatever the case is. God knows we had a lot of mistakes. Thank God that we were fortunate enough to learn from them and move forward. But the misconception is that I think a lot of people say, "Oh, but you're a developer. You're just nothing. You just hire somebody to do something. You just oversee the whole process." And I mean, everything from banking to making sure that that you're looking at the right asset, that this is the right asset for you personally, for your company, for your family office, or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, the misconceptions are that I think the biggest misconception is that this is easy, that you can just throw money at it and it's going to grow. And the biggest misconceptions is that I think people don't realize how much risk and how difficult this is. They just look at the rewards.
Right.
You know, it's just
So what should people be prepared for somebody that's looking to start again investing, whether it's an individual unit or it's development or everything in between? What are some of the things that people should be prepared for?
um, number one, you got to put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Be prepared for changes. You might buy something and the code might change, right? In New York City or in a county where you're building or you're buying or something. Be prepared. We had a situation where we had approved plans. We built according to plans, and then we had a final inspection, and the inspector said, "Well, whoever approved the plans was wrong. This is the right thing to do. You need to redo it." So, there's no guarantees. Be prepared for anything can change. Market could drop. Like, look, we bought two pieces of property in 2019 before the word coronavirus existed. And then as we got our plans approved and as we started demolition, February and March rolled around and the coronavirus happened. And then you're sitting there and you're going, well, are people going to still stay in New York? Because all they showed was people leaving New York, people running, people, working from home. Should I change the size of my units? Uh, if people are going to work from home and they're going to need an extra office, should I add an office? And,
Right.
and there's be prepared to adjust quickly on the fly with whatever might happen in that particular moment, whether it's
Right.
the whether it's you know if you're the bank and I come to you and I'm working on the loan with you and coronavirus happens, are you going to give me that loan? Are you going to, or are you going to just say, you know what, let me drag Eugene along and I'm going to, let me see what happens in the next 2, 3 months. Maybe people are going to leave New York or they're going
Right.
to, or things will stabilize. I'll tell him, we'll close in next month, and then I'll see.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they,
Right.
they they don't give me money, but I care because I'm carrying a mortgage. I'm
Of
carrying
course.
a specific payment. I have investors that I have to answer to. When you're getting a phone call, hey, why haven't we closed that loan? Should we be worried?
Right. Right.
What
And in a lot of these cases, I'm not saying that you've done any of this, but in a lot of these cases, guys, if you may not know this, but developers oftentimes have to personally guarantee the loans that they take out. So if a project doesn't go well, it's not just, oh, there goes that one project. It could be, oh, there goes my house. It could be there goes my car. It could be there goes my checking account. It could be big.
the
Could be
other
big.
thing you just brought up? Uh, I'm not some huge developer. If loans go over, I believe, 20 to 25 million dollars, the personal guarantees get cut down to certain clauses. But when it's a smaller development, you always PG, meaning
There you
personal.
go. There you go.
Because at the end of the day, the bank needs to know who to go after to get their money because
Right.
somebody messed up, and it's always so. Every single time I do a project, I'm putting everything I have on the line.
Right. Right.
Again, the misconceptions, going back to what you were asking me, boom, there's a misconception,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So what people should be prepared for is essentially everything. Like everything. You think it's so easy. We see all these beautiful buildings built, whether they're big 500 unit buildings or small 3 or 4 unit buildings, and we think like, we just, it's easy to fantasize about the money and the profit, and then all of the risk and work and experience that comes with it. It's really easy to overlook that. So to that point, actually,
But yeah,
for someone looking to, learn more about this, right? How can people educate themselves? What are some good resources for people to learn more, get around this thing more?
well, first of all, you have to tune into TLT Talks.
Duh. Hope you're watching, people. Jeff says, is it true that we met in prison? Jeff, I told you never to expose our secrets. What are you doing? So where seriously though, where somebody looking to learn more, how can they, attain this information or this knowledge?
I mean, I think that several ways. Maybe you can find a mentor, somebody that you know in the industry who's already doing this, who might not be a developer, might be just an investor who bought a couple of apartments or small buildings or whatever the case is, and they're successful, or at least they have something to share, and you can shadow them and ask them questions and say, hey, can I just ask you some questions, and can I see your properties, and can you explain to me some basics? You can also say, hey, can I put in a few dollars with you since you're doing this? Do you have anything coming up in the pipeline that you need investors for? And maybe, that way you get involved, you see the process from the beginning to the end, and, you kind of understand that. Also, what I really think is important is to understand what you're doing. They have classes like continuing education, master's program classes. I'm not telling you to go for your master's. I'm just saying you can take certain Columbia, NYU, a few other places. They offer this where you can take a class on construction, you can take a class on project management, on development. I think they have pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it, and a general contractor tells you we have to do X, you need to know if it's true or not. Do you really have to do it? And is that really needed? But you won't know. Don't have experience or taking the
yeah. NYU, I've heard of some really good classes for real estate development, all that stuff, project management, development, the number side, the construction side.
Yep.
NYU, I heard, and yeah, I couldn't agree with you more about the mentor piece. Gary Vee actually talks about the quickest way and the best way to learn something and get involved in industry is find someone that does it really well and just offer them to like work for free, just to be involved. And so, aligning with a developer via investment, maybe even taking like a lower percentage of the profit, but having them expose their books to you, and or going to work for one. I agree. I think that's probably the fastest route. With agents, I tell them there's no. You want the best way to learn real estate is by joining a team. Just get in there, get into a place that has. We offer a really, really strong mentorship program on our team, and so if you really want to learn to do it at a high level, join a team, get a mentor. There's no faster way to do it. So let's talk through an actual project. So you and I have done, a bunch of projects together. They're always fun. They're always a good time. And they're always great. Like all the work's always awesome. But let's talk through one. So let's take, for example, 323 20th Street, right? That was an awesome project. Talk us through like the soup to nuts from beginning to end about that project. It's 12:30. I'll be respectful of your time. I'll go maybe like 5 minutes over. But talk us through.
That's okay. I got nothing to do.
So let's talk through like from soup to nuts that project. And it'd be great if you could talk about, three things in particular, right? Like the identification process. Everybody knows that the success of the deal is on, buying the land or buying the deal. You could talk a little bit more about that maybe. But mainly basically the identification process, why and how you chose that one, any issues you might have faced and how you overcame them, and then obviously anything you've learned from that project. Those three things. So soup to nuts, and considering those three things, floor is yours, my friend.
All right. So you said it best. And I believe this wholeheartedly. If you buy right, you will always make money. You won't lose money. How about that? If you buy right, you're good. For one. Number two. So how do we identify? We were looking to buy something, to do a multifamily condo project. We looked in Park Slope, and it was very expensive. So I said, all right, well, where's everybody going who can't afford to live in Park Slope? If I can't afford to buy in Park Slope, people can't afford to live in Park Slope. So I was like, all right, well, let's see, 2 blocks down, And as you go further away from Prime Park Slope, things get cheaper and cheaper. So we chose South Slope, which is a great neighborhood. We love the neighborhood. I actually, after building this project, moved my office to South Slope, and I'm still,
Hmm.
like I said, I love the neighborhood. We saw a piece of property which back then had a lot of big issues, and you know, when there's issues, people don't want to deal with them. They'll sell them cheaper. So people who do want to deal with them get a good deal. So we ended up buying this piece really well due to the fact that prior developer messed up a foundation and the building to the left was sinking. So there was a lot of issues. We, you know, brought in our engineers, architects. We looked at everything, and we had a strong feeling they were and be able to get a great piece of property at a cheaper price.
Nice.
And that's exactly what we did. You know, we did our comps, we did our homework. That's also very important. I called my friend Eugene Litvak and I said, Eugene,
Hmm.
where do you think I'm going to be able to sell these condos at? And Eugene said XYZ. And then I said, okay, well, if I sell it for $100 and the property costs me, you know, $30, and it takes another $30 for me to build, and I'm at 60 for the cost, plus another $10, let's say, for, you know, for soft costs. So, you know, then I have, you know, about $30 left for my profit. Then I have to pay Eugene for his great work that he did, you know, and then a lot of other things come up. And then you have to figure out if this is a project for you and can you do it in the right time frame and so on and so forth. So preparation is probably key. Having the right professionals on your team allows you to analyze a project that maybe others won't take and maybe you can get a better deal on. Having those right professionals, make sure that you're going to have the right plans, have them done quickly, and actually then build it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And so as you went through the process, right? What were maybe give me like two or three of the, or like let's say two of the major issues that came up that you know our viewers can learn from, and how you dealt with those issues.
Um, well, I mean, look, if somebody tells you that there's no issues at any kind of a development project, they're lying.
Hmm.
We faced issues like, you know, getting the foundation done right. You know, we had to put in a lot more work there. Neighbors are a big issue always. You always have to treat your neighbors right and take care of their problems as if they're your own.
Yeah.
Establish good relationships. So that was an issue. A big issue was that today we GC everything ourselves. GC meaning we will build everything ourselves. We have our name on everything, and we don't hire anybody anymore. Back then, I was hiring people, and you know, we started doing the project. The foundation went well, and then we started doing the superstructure. And then I get a phone call from my general contractor, and he says, "Listen, I need some more money." And I said, "Well, why do you need money?" He said, "Well, you see, what had happened was." Uh, the subcontractor that was doing the cement block and steel, um, he disappeared. He took my deposit and left. So I need to get a new contractor, and I don't have any money, so you have to give me money. So then I asked him, I said, "Hey, but we have a contract." He goes, "I know, but what am I going to do? Go bankrupt because I have to give you money?"
I love it. It's great. Perfect.
And that,
Perfect.
so I had to fire the general contractor, hire somebody else, which was a big ordeal, obviously. You know, so that was an issue. Then getting everything on time, meaning like your windows, your finishing
Yeah.
forth. Um, Listen, there's issues. There's always issues. There's issues with
But it's so easy. But it's so all you do is you take $1 million, you go develop, you make $1 million back, and it's so easy. Everyone can do it, right? It's like it's such a piece of cake.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the right roofer in. You know that happened to me where
Yeah.
I changed roofers because the first guy wasn't that good. He said everything is, you know, fixed, and it wasn't.
Nice.
Issues.
Any big learns? Any, you know, with every single project, you're getting better and better. You're getting faster. That project was on the earlier side. Any big learns from that project that now you know carry through into the work you do today?
Yes. You know, every single project you learn something new, right? So
Mhm.
project, there was everything from getting the right subcontractors, getting the right general contractors in place, getting the right people that work with you alongside you, getting the right attorneys who will do the condo book, right? I switched attorneys as well on that project and finally found a good one. Unfortunately, a lot of these things are, you got to try it. If you
Yeah.
don't, if you have to immediately shift to a different direction. Market risk is a big deal. Thank God that I had you on my side, and I was able to navigate this market because we launched the condo building around, I remember, sometime late October, early November. Then the elections came, and there was some people were a little concerned about who's the president, who's going to become the president, or whatever the case is, and sales kind of paused or stopped altogether. I remember we didn't have like a single showing for like a month and a half, and
Yeah.
I started panicking, and I called you and I said, "Hey, let's lower the prices. Let's I got to get rid of this thing. I have loans coming up, and investors, and this and that." And you said, "Hold your horses."
Uh-oh. Oh, Gene, I think we lost audio. I can't. Is it just me? I can't hear. For anybody watching, can you guys hear Gene? Is it just my pods? Because I don't have audio. I don't hear you. No, it's Eugene. Can't hear you. Well, it's all right. He obviously doesn't have anything valuable to say anyways. Nope, we got nothing, bud. All right. What was that? What's a good issues. Developers always have issues, and we're gonna work through these issues, and we're gonna figure it out. You want to try saying something one more time, maybe? Nope, we got nothing. All right. Well, thank you. We got through most of it. We got through like 90% of it. The last piece that Gene was saying was that timing. They were there was delays in the construction, and we wanted to, they wanted to launch, they wanted to get going, and there was uncertainty in the market, plus delays in construction, plus the cycle, just a couple things at once. And we had recommended staying patient, and we thought the market would rebound. Gene and his team did a careful analysis of what it would cost to carry. We did an analysis of the comps, and together we decided to wait. In the end, that project was wildly successful. We did wait. We didn't drop prices. We sold everything. We set records for the neighborhood. It was really awesome. Normally, this is the point at which I ask our guest for any final thoughts or tips. Maybe he has a final tip for us. Testing. Still nothing. Still nothing. So final tip, make sure your phone works, right? Make sure the audio works. All good. Gene, thank you very, very much for your time. Really appreciate you jumping on with us and sharing some of your wisdom. For anyone that's looking to get into real estate investing, I will say to you, make sure that you do your homework. Really, really important. Do your homework, know the product, know what's going on. Make sure you have the right people around you. Obviously, the real estate broker, the finance people, the lawyers, but also the right team. Gene learned a lot from, it takes a couple projects to get there and find your team. So GC, architect, floor guy, plumber, the whole piece, the whole team. Make sure you're with the right people. And most importantly, you got to be a warrior. You got to have a really, really strong mindset, because, Gene just shared, Gene and I have been friends for over 20 years, and we've been working together for over 10 years. And the reality is that things are going to come up. Things are going to come up, and Gene's one of the very successful developers that has never lost money in projects, but I can assure you that that's rare. Things come up. Sometimes it's timing, sometimes COVID, sometimes the market shifts. And, when a developer starts a project, it's about 18 to 24 months before the actual launch. And so ultimately, whatever was going on today, the market could be completely different in 18 months, and whatever prices you had planned on getting may not be available anymore. So just, you got to have a strong mindset. You got to be ready for battle. You got to be ready for anything. You got to have a backup plan in place. So obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Genius graciously offered his time that if anyone had a question for him, he'd be happy to connect as well. Thank you very much. Have a great day. If you're not watching this live and you're going to watch this later, enjoy. Feel free to reach out with any questions. And for any of you people that plan on jumping into the real estate investing game, I am as well. My goal is to have 50 doors, to own 50 doors over the next 10 years. I'm going to be talking to Gene a lot, picking his brain. Jump on in and feel free to reach out with any questions. All right, guys, have a good one.